Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to do the example 51 divided by 6. Okay, let's do that here. So our goal number 1 is to find our quotient. What is the biggest multiple of 6 I can get that either equals 51 or which at least does not exceed 51, right? So let's count out our multiples of 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. So you see that? So we see that 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. You see? So the biggest multiple of 6, which either equals 51 or which at least does not exceed 51, has to be the 8th multiple of 6. So we immediately can tell that our quotient is 8. Okay? That's, our quotient is 8. But 41, 48 does not equal 51, right? 48 does not equal 51. So what do? We subtract from the 51 the 48. So 51 minus 48 gives us what? Okay, can I take away 8 from 1? No, I can't. So what I do is I borrow from the 51. That becomes 4. That becomes an 11. Can I take away 8 from 11? Yes. Right? 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 3. Then I ask, can I take 4 from 4? Yes. I get a 0. I don't have to write it here. So I can see that it's 8, remainder 3. Okay? So that's our result. Okay? Now let me briefly state a couple of important things here. Okay. I want you all, whenever you see a division result like this, I want you to immediately think in your brain, what does this mean? Okay. This means that 51 can be written as 8 times 6 plus 3. The quotient times the number you're dividing the 51 by plus the remainder. Okay? Okay. I always want you to think about this. Why? Let's say someone told you that this was a division fact. You could verify it easily by performing the multiplication, adding the 3, and seeing if that in fact gave you the 51, right? Of course, we already did the multiplication. We know that that's 8 times 6 is 48, 48, 49, 50, 51. So we know that this is correct. That's one reason why I want you to keep this in mind. Okay. Okay. Now, before we move on from this problem, I want to restate the way we solve this in terms of the long division notation. Okay? Because in these smaller problems, the technique we're using is more than adequate. But I want you to be aware of how we can do this technique systematically when we're using the long division notation so that we can approach bigger and bigger problems later. And so we don't find that notation to be unusual or unfamiliar at that future point. Okay? So if I want to do 51 divided by 6, oops, sorry about that. That's what is known as a gap. Okay? I know that it's going to be clipped out and they're going to run it forever, but it's okay. Okay? Let's look at this together. So I want to calculate 51 divided by 6. Okay? So what happens is that the number you're dividing by will go outside of the long division house. And the number you're dividing, in this case the 51, goes inside the division house. And the way you read this, the way you want to think about this is, how many times does this number, in this case 6, go into at first? 5. It doesn't go into 5, right? So as a result of that, sometimes you can put 0, but we're not going to do that. You then ask, does 6 go into 51? And how many times? So we look at our multiplication table, right? 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24, 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 6 is 36, 6 times 7 is 42, 6 times 8 is 48, 6 times 9 is 54, 6 times 8 was 48. That was the biggest one, right? So we put our 8 there to state that the 8 times the 6 went into 51. I didn't put the 8 over the 5. I put it over the 1, right? Now, once I place my number there, that's going to be, in this case, that's actually going to be our quotient, as you guys saw. Later on, when we're doing more long division problems, this will just be the start of the quotient, depending on how big the numbers are, right? But the process will be the same. Now, this number 8, this number 8, I multiply it by 6. 8 times 6, that's going to be 48, okay? And it's here that I perform my subtraction, okay? So I ask again, can 8 be taken away from 1? It cannot. So I borrow from the 5 here. That becomes a 4, and this becomes an 11. What is 11 minus 8? Well, again, 11 minus 8 is 3, right? And then, of course, 4 minus 4, that's 0. And now, I ask, does 6 go into 3? It doesn't. And so, at this point, I know that that's going to be the remainder. See, so this will be 8. So in other words, when we look at this will be your remainder. Okay? So we can write it as 8 remainder. Okay? Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this example, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.